We are live here on this Monday reaction show, November 16th, 2020. I am your host, Courtney Harden from The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Filling in for my man, Ben Sutter. I know you guys are used to him hosting usually, but he is enjoying his anniversary. So happy anniversary to him. So he asked me to come on and kind of host the show. So I was like, yeah, no doubt. We definitely got to put out a show because we got a lot of big news happening. We got the NBA free agency, NBA draft, got some trades coming up. A lot of trades already happened. So I said, yep, I'm going to do this. So thank you for everyone that's tuning in. Thank you everyone that's tuning in on YouTube. So like the page there, click that bell. And follow the show. Follow all the shows on BS3Radio.com, where you get all your podcasts there. That's the network. And follow us on Facebook as well. We're on Facebook Live. Everyone that's tuning in on Facebook Live, good to see you guys. And again, thank you for everyone that's tuning in right now. Also, I had to bring a couple of my friends from the podcast game. First up, I got my Real Deal brother, Damian Adams, with The Real Deal with Damian Adams. What's going on, man?
Doing good, man. Just glad to be on the show with you. This is one of my favorite times of the year. And it's funny that it came around Christmas. So I always say that this is the most rumor-filled time of the year. This is the time of the year that we're in. So I'm very excited about this time of the year and glad to do it with you two guys and talk about it.
No doubt. Yes, definitely. And I'm glad for you to get on the show as well. Also, I have one of the hardest working men, both of these guys are, but one of the hardest working men in the podcast game. I got Nathan Ramachandra of the NR Hour. You guys have seen him all over the place as well. You've seen him on YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. So I'm going to welcome him to the show as well. What's going on, Nathan? How you doing?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. And yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm over 605 episodes now, and just continue working hard, getting guests by the minute, and loading up on this week. But you guys work hard also, man. Not only me, you two, and then the other podcasters out there. They work hard, and all of us are family and continue to work hard. So I just want to say thank you again for having me on, and really excited to get this going.
Definitely. I'm glad to get you back on. And we got another guest as well, surprising guest. I asked him to come on too if he wanted to jump on, and he said he definitely would.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to welcome my best friend for over 30 plus years. I mean, we do this kind of like what we do here. We talk sports, life, things like that. So I want to welcome to the show my man James Jeter. What's going on, man?
What's up, Court? How you doing, fellas? Good to see you. Officially be on with you. Check out all your pages and everything. Love everything you're doing. I'm just glad to be here for a few minutes or however long to talk sports with you guys, especially NBA. I love it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we definitely glad to get all you guys on here. So again, like I said, everyone that's tuning in, we have a chat room also. Check it out. It's youtube.com/BS3 Radio. If you have any comments, questions, we're gonna go into a lot of NBA. So strap on, get your popcorn ready, as Tio would say.
Yeah.
And let's roll. So let's get into let's start with the draft. I want to do a little bit of draft first. So the NBA draft is on Wednesday night, which is interesting. It's on Wednesday in November, which is weird because it's usually in the summer right after the season. But we had a unprecedented 2020 great run in the NBA. So I'm gonna start with you, Damian. What do you think of the this NBA draft? It's definitely different in November, but it's business as usual, and the season starts in December. So what's your thoughts on the NBA draft?
It's definitely different. It's one that's going to be exciting for the fact of the unknown. There's so many guys in this draft that we don't know about. And usually, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not a big college basketball guy. So the way that I catch up on college basketball is watching March Madness.
Right.
We didn't have March Madness this year. So now I was like, how do I know about these guys? So I've been doing a lot of cramming, watching YouTube videos, highlights, trying to get just a grasp for the guys that's in the draft right now. So I think this year's draft should be known as the year of the unknown.
Yeah, I agree. It's not to me. It's not a heavy draft, but there's some talent there. It's not like last season's, but you can always find talent. So the best teams usually do find the talent. So up at the top. So Nathan, what do you think of the draft upcoming this Wednesday night?
I actually today on my show I interviewed 2020 NBA draft prospect Mike Lenore. He played in the TBL league, and this is a guy you should definitely watch out for. I don't know where he's going to get drafted, but this guy averages 45 plus points per game, he said, and 12 assists per game in the TBL league, and he played against high level competition, AAU basketball too. So he's a point guard, and I told him during the interview he reminds me of Dennis Schroeder and Rondo. He's a combination of Dennis Schroeder where he can shoot the ball, and then Rondo where he can pass the ball. So I think this guy you should watch out for in the draft. And obviously LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and Wiseman are the other top players. But like I agree with Damien, it's a draft of unknowns. So there's one unknown. I had one unknown already on the show. So
right, it is going to be a draft. It definitely will be. James, what you think, man? I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago on my podcast, but what you think of this draft as overall with the talent and how unprecedented it is?
Yeah, I agree with the guys. There's a lot of unknown talent. We're not really sure who's going to be that big name, but the last time that the draft seemed kind of weak, Giannis came out or Kawhi came out. So you don't really know what you're going to get. I think there's a lot of guys who of course aren't going to be Giannis or may not be Giannis, but you might find quite a few guys in this draft who are going to be long-time, solid, good pros, maybe even a couple All-Stars out of this draft.
Yeah, and it's like you said, you can find diamonds in the rough. You can find your Kawhi Leonards, your Giannis's, who become all-star caliber players. Draymond Greens, guys like that go lower in the draft, but you can find those. So let's talk about that top heavy of the draft. LaMelo Ball, he's been the biggest name. There's been a lot of different scouting reports about him. Is he this type of player? Is he that type of player? Is he going to be better than his brother, Lonzo Ball? He's going to be number one pick. I've seen him at number 5. I've seen him at number 1. I know you guys seen him at the same thing. Do you think he's overrated? Do you think he will be the number 1 pick? Does he fit Minnesota, who has the number 1 pick? I'm scared of you, Damien. What you think?
I don't know if he fits in Minnesota because they already have a point guard that they've traded for and invested in D'Angelo Russell. So, and with LaMelo, he has the size, or I should say the length, to be a small forward. He doesn't have the size yet. He's really skinny. But as far as the length to grow into a small forward's body, he does have that. But his best skill set is passing the ball, just like his brother. So you definitely want him to be a point guard for you. And Minnesota already has that point guard in D'Angelo Russell. Now, can Russell play the 2? He can, but I think he's more suited to play the point guard, have the ball in his hands, work off the pick and roll, him and Cat doing their thing as far as pick and roll and pick and pop. And I think LaMelo coming into that situation would kind of just mess up the chemistry of what D'Angelo and Cat already have. So I don't see LaMelo going number 1.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm going back and forth with LaMelo Ball. Like, I can see him dropping, but then he is a name. I think that's one of the reasons why I think he will be number 1. But also, I think with his skill set, I mean, he can pass. He's a playmaker, and he's got the size. But that shot selection, I think that's I think that's his issue. Like, he's a gunner, and he definitely over in Europe. Like he definitely was just shooting so much, and that's why he got so many numbers. But I don't know if he fits with Minnesota either, just because of the lack of defense. That's his issue, and they already have 2 guys that don't play defense, and Cat and D'Angelo Russell. So you go and get another guy like that and Cat already, he wants the ball. D'Angelo Russell loves to shoot. He likes the ball in his hand, and if he goes in there and he distributes, then it'd be a good pick. But I don't know if he's going to go number 1 either. So, Nathan, you think LaMelo Ball will go number 1?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he fits in Minnesota because D'Lo is there. I think what I can see Minnesota doing Wednesday, trading that first-round pick to get an established player like a Zach LaVine coming back to Minnesota, or I heard that they're looking for established players somewhere, but I can see them trading that number 1 pick, or if they do stay with the number 1 pick, it's either Anthony Edwards. I really like Anthony Edwards, so I think they should go for him or James Wiseman.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards and James Wiseman. I think that's your top three, along with Ball. Just don't know where they're going to go because Golden State's that we'll talk about them, what they think they're going to do. So yeah, what do you think, James? I know me and you were talking, like I said, we used to talk about LaMelo Ball. Like we think he's going to drop, but he could end up being the number 1 pick. You think he will be number 1 in Minnesota?
No, I think if you're just looking like the other guy said, positionally he doesn't fit. They don't need another point guard. It's redundant, and they don't need. I agree with Nathan. They don't need another young guy coming in. They still have to work on Cat. They still have to work on D'Lo. Those guys still are working on their maturity and learning how to be true pros in the league. But if they do have to draft somebody, they're definitely going to draft Anthony Edwards. That's a position of need. They need somebody on the wing to kind of help them move forward. And LaMelo just doesn't fit what they need.
Just to follow up on that, if you think about it, would you rather have D'Lo, Zach LaVine, or another established player with Anthony Towns or Anthony Edwards? Would you rather have a big three of that or Anthony Edwards right now?
I would definitely go with the established guy if I can, because with Karl-Anthony Towns, he's entering his prime.
Mm-hmm.
D'Lo is entering his prime. So these guys are in a position right now, they're ready to win. Minnesota, the ironic thing is the perfect guy probably would be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
to be there. It's hilarious. But yeah, they definitely need a wing guy. So I agree with Jameis. If they do draft somebody, I can see them going with Edwards because they need somebody on that wing who can score, who can take that pressure off of D'Lo and can run the offense, can facilitate just to take the ball out of D'Lo's hands at times. But I would definitely want the established guy. Zach LaVine would be perfect. That's another ironic one that he was already there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else on the wing, maybe a Bradley Beal, if they can pull that off. Someone of that type of nature would be the perfect fit for Minnesota.
And I just wanted to throw one more guy out there. The name out there that, going to LA is DeMar. But DeMar might be somebody who, because of where they are in the draft, San Antonio is 11. They don't necessarily have to drop too much, but if they could try to throw something out there, some kind of trade options to get somebody like DeMar, he'd be another one of those guys who fits. But an established guy who's really going to be a leader for them. I don't even know if Cat D'Lo want that. Like you said, Damian, Jimmy was perfect for them. They just didn't want it. They weren't ready for it. But going forward, they definitely need somebody like that. They don't need anybody young. They don't need anybody even like Zach. And maybe it's the Bulls fan in me saying no, don't go. But even somebody like Zach, he might not be the perfect fit because of his leadership and abilities. But I do agree. I would much rather have Zach LaVine over Anthony Edwards or any of the young guys in the draft.
Plus, we got some news on DeMar DeRozan today. He opted in on his contract with the Spurs, but that doesn't mean that he's going to stay there. It means that the money situation. So
that's why I threw out the trade ideas because I did see that he had opted in. But I think a lot of the guys who have opted in are ultimately going to be moving on just in some type of trade.
Yeah, there's going to be some trades. I mean, we're definitely going to get into some of these big. I mean, Chris Paul just got moved.
Oh my God!
Again, which man, I mean, I wish the Bulls would have tried to get him just for the 2 years, because they need a point guard. But that's how it is. I mean, you gotta. And look, OKC now got all these draft picks.
Yeah,
they got drafted for 2-3 years.
If you think about the OKC Thunder, what Sam Presti's doing.
Yeah.
Sam Presti's one of the best GMs in the league right now. He traded basically his all of his star players, but he's getting more value back with these star players, which is good, and they're still competing on a high level. So I still expect them to be in the playoffs this year, with all this draft capital.
Oh, definitely.
And the players they have. So,
I agree. I think OKC is still going to be pretty good. Yeah. They'll be in that bottom half of the West, but they'll still be good. But let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. They got the number 2 pick. Mm-hmm. It's funny to say that they are number 2. Dynasty that they were for the last 5 years, and they didn't make the playoffs this year because injuries and the season they got cut short. But I mean, they coming back with healthy. They coming back with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson should be healthy. Draymond Green should be healthy. They got a lot of young guys. They're sitting pretty at number 2. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors that they might trade that pick, or they could get Wiseman. I mean, he could fit Edwards. I mean, they got some options too. I'll start with you, James. What do you think? What do you think Golden State might do with that number 2 pick?
Well, like I said when I was on with you, it reminds me of San Antonio getting Tim Duncan, and I'm not talking about the talent. I'm just talking about when they were riddled with injuries, and they ended up getting the number 1 pick, and the guys came back from their injuries. Tim Duncan was in the fold, and they end up winning the championship. It's that similar situation with Golden State, and I think they got the right guy in Wiseman. If they do keep the pick, Wiseman is a fit. I think he's a perfect fit for their roster. I know that they like what LaMelo has done in the past couple of workouts, but I really think Wiseman just positionally, his abilities and everything that he brings to the table is a perfect fit for Golden State.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely Wiseman is the perfect fit because they can just, they got the shooters, they spread the floor. He just can run the floor. I know he's a little raw offensively, but he could if they spread the floor and they just running, he could be that JaVale McGee type of guy, just even a little bit better maybe, because he can run, block shots. His game offensively will come along, but in that culture, in that system, I think he fits perfectly if they keep that pick. So, Damian, what do you think of Golden State? Like I said, they're right in the right position to do whatever they can. I actually have them, depending on what they do. I actually have them maybe coming out of the West, depending on how everybody else goes. So, yeah. So
really?
Yeah. So, what do you think, Damian? What do you think of Golden State?
No, I totally agree with you guys on them taking Wiseman. Like you said, he's raw offensively, but he's in a perfect situation where he's not needed to be an offensive guy. You got 4 options ahead of him. Imagine the fact that Andrew Wiggins is your 4th option offensively on that squad. And when you have Wiseman there, all you have to do is worry about playing defense, getting boards, passing out. Oh, y'all going to double team Steph Curry on that pick and roll? Throw me an alley. Let me just dunk it real quick. Everything's going to come to him so easily in this system. And he gets a chance to develop slowly. A lot of these early draft picks don't get a chance to develop and take their time and really develop their games. They're thrown in immediately and expected to be saviors at the number 1, number 2 picks. So I think this is the perfect situation for Wiseman to go in. He could be the starter right away or even come off the bench and be somebody who can add to the roster, but he's not needed. And I think that's the perfect situation.
Yeah, I totally agree. What you think, Nathan? What you think of Golden State sitting pretty right now, man?
You know what? I'm gonna. If they do stay at the pick, I say Wiseman. I agree with you guys, Wiseman or LaMelo Ball if they want to go small ball again. LaMelo Ball will perfectly fit there in Golden State the way they play. Imagine LaMelo Ball with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Oh my God, that offense would be lethal again. But I expect, you know what? Here, I'm gonna give you guys a hot take here. I'm gonna say that he trade the number 2 pick. They're gonna get an established power forward like LaMarcus Aldridge or some other established power forward. I think if they want to win, I think they should go for the established player. And my prediction, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I can see them trading the number 2 pick.
I heard about LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah. I just read that today, actually. And man, San Antonio, if they lose DeRozan and Aldridge, they're full rebuild if they lose those 2 guys. But I can see them losing either one or both of those guys because I don't think they can go in much anywhere else with those guys further than they've already. So Aldridge and Golden State, that pick and pop with Steph and Klay. That could work. That could actually work. What do you guys think of that trade? If they do get it, someone like Aldridge, another established guy, and on the block, he can hit the outside jump shot as well. What do you think about that, James? With Aldridge going to Golden State?
Yeah, I saw that a couple of days ago. I don't know if I necessarily love the fit in Golden State, just because LaMarcus really is a guy who wants the ball a lot, and you got to kind of feature him. You got to feed him. And I think that's the problem with San Antonio. He doesn't feel like he's being featured enough, and at least it was early. And if he's not going to be featured, he's not going to really be one to just sit out on the wing and wait for the ball to come to him. He really wants that ball on that low block. he wants to go to work. That methodical, back down to the turnaround jump shot, that he loves to do all day off the bank. And I don't know if he necessarily fits, but I do agree with the thought process that they're probably looking more for an established guy, an established big. I just don't know if LaMarcus Aldridge is the one. But I did see that.
Right. What do you think, Damian, of that trade, Aldridge to the Warriors?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the fit is congruent or you can fit together either. You think about LaMarcus, the first thing that doesn't come to mind, like is furthest thing from your mind, is him running up and down the floor. Like you definitely don't picture him doing that. When you watch him run, he's not somebody who's going to be sprinting up and down the floor. And this team's going to go. They want to get down the floor fast. Even if they're in a half court set, it's about them moving. Yeah. It's about the continuous movement of the ball and the man with them. And LaMarcus, isn't about the action, boss. He's not about that moving around, doing all that stuff.
Stationary guy. Yeah.
He's not. That's not his game. Yeah, he's not trying to do that. So it would be. I'll have to get a more mobile guy at the power forward position for them. No one comes to mind immediately. I'll have to sit down and really think about it as far as who would be that established guy for them. But LaMarcus, I just don't see him fitting in that environment and being able to thrive with that team.
I think, speaking of mobile, I think Kevin Love would be a perfect fit for Golden State. Kevin Love, I think he still can play. Obviously, still young, and I think he can keep up with the Warriors' offense, and he can shoot the three too. And I think Kevin Love will be a perfect fit for Golden State.
Yes,
I saw that. Oh, I'm sorry, Damon. Go ahead.
No, that's actually a really good one because remember a few years back, way back, it was rumored they were going to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Good thing they didn't because, history would have been a lot different. But that was a rumor because Kevin Love coming out of Minnesota was such a hot commodity.
Yeah.
Now at this stage of his career, I think he could be the perfect complement for, that's the Splash Brothers backcourt along with Draymond Green. He can play some small man five. You can have another version of the Def lineup. And I guess it's going to be like, the cousin of Def, if you will. And it would be something that would be close to it. But I think that's a good call, Nathan. I think that you can see Kevin Love working out there.
Man, Kevin Love's been wanting to get moved forever. He still hasn't been moved yet.
He's gonna get moved this year. I actually saw somewhere that was a thought. I don't know, just a rumored idea that Kevin Love would be a good fit in Golden State. And I thought about it for a minute and I said, it would be perfect. He rebounds, he pushed that ball out, on the outlets. And all he can do is come down on the secondary break, hit that top three, hit that corner three. He's the one who can positionally with his game would fit a lot better than LaMarcus Aldridge. He'd be, just standing out there on that corner, knocking down those threes, getting down on the block, getting some offensive rebounds, scoring, the ugly way that he does, but the rebounding would help. His passing ability would help, and it would be a perfect fit for Golden State.
Yeah, because you said Kevin Love, he's been wanting to get moved because he's been in Cleveland for so long. He won a championship with LeBron and Kyrie a few years back, and now he probably wants to finish his career out on a contender. And with Golden State, I think he would fit too because even though he's not a great defender at all, they can hide him because, you still got Klay, you still got Draymond, who are really good defenders. Steph's not a good defender either, but tries, it does try. He's definitely not Harden. Harden doesn't try at all, but he's a little better than Harden when it comes to defensive end. And you get somebody, if they kept the pick, or if they keep Wiggins too, but I guess they would have to get rid of Wiggins if they got somebody like Kevin Love. So they have to throw. Man, can you imagine Wiggins going back to Cleveland? He never even got a chance to play. That would be ironic too. So
that would be crazy.
Yeah, right. So we got a couple of people in the chat room here. Pay me no mind, my man there. He says, "What up, gentlemen? True heavy hitters up in here." So thanks for tuning in. And also we got James Smith. Thanks for tuning in as well. He said, "What's your take on Dayton Do It All, Obi Toppin, and which prospect coming out is the most complete?" Let's start with you, James. What do you think of Obi Toppin? I know we talked about Obi. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Obi Toppin. So, what do you think of Obi Toppin?
In the right place, he's a great player for whoever is the right system. I know that he's it's projected him going to Cleveland, possibly coming to Chicago, which I think would be a terrible fit in Chicago. But if he ends up in Cleveland, pushing K-Love out, playing that that small ball, small ball four. It could work. I like his skill set. I don't love it. I don't know if he really has much of a ceiling. I think he's kind of reached his potential, but you never know. He could definitely turn it on. But I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I do think that within the right system, he's going to be a pretty decent player.
Yeah, he's got some talent. I mean, he was one of the better players in college too, and he started to work on his jump shot. He's got some strength. He's going to definitely be top 5, top 6. I can definitely see him not falling past the at least the 6th spot. What do you think, Nathan? What do you think of Obi Toppin?
I agree with Jameis. I think it has to be system fit, perfect fit for him, and Chicago would be a disaster for him. And I think he'll fit in Cleveland. But you know what? One team you should look out for in this draft. I know this. I know it might be a risk, but this guy could potentially fit in Golden State too. If you want to get the Warriors like to take on gambles, right? So if the Warriors do take a gamble, why not just take a gamble on this guy and see what he can do in the Golden State system? In my opinion, anybody can fit in the Golden State system the way they play. All of us can fit in the Golden State system. But, I mean,
I go out there and jack a few.
Obi Top. Okay, I think he's going to slip though. I think he'll fall to after the top 10. I think he'll fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's if somebody's going to get a good player if he slips past the top 10 for real, because he's explosive too. What do you think, Damien, of Obi Toppin, and do you think he stays in that top 5 where he's projected?
Yeah, it's hard to call if he's going to drop or not, but I do agree with both of these guys that it has to be a perfect system. He does have a limited skill set. I think he's somebody who's going to be a good rotation player in the league for years. He's going to be one of those guys who plays for 15 years. We're going to look back 15 years from now, like, dang, he played for 15 years?
Yeah, right.
Like, he's going to be one of those type of guys that plays for a long time, but not going to be an all-star, superstar, anything like that, but a good rotation guy in the right system. I do agree that he would fit in Golden State. If Golden State does trade the 2nd pick and they drop back, then that could be a perfect situation for him to get picked.
Yep.
Yeah, if Golden State does fall, like if they go from 2 to say they trade that pick and they trade down, they could get somebody like an Obi Toppin. But I can't see him going in the top 2. With Minnesota or Golden State.
I'm just bringing it out there where for Golden State. I mean, you don't have to like Damien said, to trade back. I think trading back for Golden State is another option too. So.
Yeah, right. And my man from Reginald Woodson from Pay Me No Mind, and also from Bite Down Box. Again, shout out to him. He said we didn't see Obi take too many meaningful jump shots, but Dayton is the Billy Go Flyers. So yeah, it's Obi Toppin is a tough player, man. I mean, we'll see where he falls, but let's get into. I want to go into one more. So we talked about Cleveland. We got Charlotte and Chicago. This will be the last 2.
Can we talk about the Knicks real quick? Because I
forgot.
I have some intriguing prospects where the Knicks can hopefully get or whatever.
We'll go to Knicks. We'll go to definitely the Knicks. What do you think the Knicks are going to do? Because they're always one player away.
Yeah.
Away. Now they're talking about, we're gonna go free agents wise, and this. They're getting LeBron, they're getting D Wade, it was getting
Durant,
guys, Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden now, and Westbrook, and let's see.
Westbrook would be the perfect fit.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect landing spot for New York. Sorry, Nathan, I didn't want to. Westbrook. That would be his landing spot, just because he wants the ball again. He wants the ball in his hands again. Yep. He wants to be the leader. Thibodeau's the right coach for him. I think that would be the perfect spot.
I agree, 100%.
I'm not a Knicks fan. Bulls. I do not do the Knicks, but Westbrook would be a good fit.
Perfect. No, Westbrook is a perfect fit for the Knicks. I'm telling you, Westbrook will be. That he wants the keys to the city. That's what he wants. So
That's what he wants. That's what he wants.
New York.
Get the keys to the city and get bounced out in the first round. Hey, why not?
He doesn't care.
He wants his numbers and his MVP is, I guess. So hey, that's Westbrook. But what you got, Nathan? I know you said you got. What do you think the Knicks are?
Yeah, so the Knicks have the 8th pick. So obviously, we always get unlucky in the lottery. But I think you know what? There's one player that no one's talking about. Cole Anthony from North Carolina. This guy can play. I watched him in North Carolina. He can shoot the ball, pass the ball. Obviously, he still has room to improve, but he's the type of guy that he will not. He will do good under pressure. He wants to be in the bright light. So I think he'll be perfect fit in New York. And Tom Thibodeau is a right coach for him too, just like Westbrook. So if the Knicks decide to stay at the pick, take a gamble on Cole Anthony and see where that goes. If not, then if they can't find any prospects, trade that pick for Russell. Somehow, you obviously have to give up other players and assets, but to get Russell Westbrook, you got to trade the 8th pick. But if they don't, Cole Anthony is a guy that I really want for New York. Cole Anthony,
yeah, because I seen him like he's projected in the top 20, and then they got him. ESPN has him on the Sixers at 21, so they'll have to really reach to, But like you said, it's unpredictable draft, so anything can happen with this. So, what do you guys think of the Knicks? Do you guys think that are they going to keep this pick? Are they going to try to trade it for like a Russell Westbrook or somebody? Yeah. The Knicks are like I said, they're always a couple players every year, a couple players away from even just making the playoffs. What do you think, Damian?
They're definitely going to try to trade it. They're going to try everything in their power to get rid of this pick and trade it for somebody, somewhere, you take it with a hat, take it with this Kit Kat, take it with these snacks, something. They're going to try everything they can to get rid of that pick. But I wanted to ask the local Knicks fan here. I saw a lot of mocks that have the kid out of Florida State going to them. What do you think of Devin Vassell?
Oh man, Devin Vassell, he can play too. That's another guy that I really like. But I mean, yeah, he still obviously all these players have room to improve. I'm not all of them could be bust potential, but Devin Vassell, man, this guy can shoot the ball. This guy can play, so I think that's another option there for the Knicks. But where do they have them? Where do they have him projected?
So I've seen him projected to go to the Knicks at 8.
Oh, okay.
Or projected to go like a little bit lower at 9 or 10.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, yeah. If the Knicks have those 2 players available, that's a tough position there. I mean. I know Cole Anthony's projected to go in the 20s, but at the end of the day, I think I'm leaning towards Cole Anthony right now.
Right. Yeah, and Vassell, I'm just looking at the ESPN's. They said, he's physically versatile on and off the ball, above average passing, ability to shoot off the dribble, good 3 and D role player. So that's an interesting way to. They have him at Phoenix, but now Phoenix got all these players now back. They got Chris Paul. Yeah. They gotta need some players too to for that roster. What do you think, James? The Knicks, their potential at number 8, their pick at number 8.
Yeah, I agree with Damian. They're going to try to get that pick out as soon as possible. But I think the better option out of Florida State for them would be Vassell's teammate Patrick Williams. If he somehow drops down,
Patrick Williams, yeah, that's another one.
Then that's the guy. Vassell and excuse me, I can't think of the player's name in Phoenix. He reminds me of him. The name just escapes me.
Kelly Oubre?
No, not Kelly Oubre. This will be his second year, 2 years in now.
I
can't think of his name.
From what team?
For Phoenix. He plays for Phoenix. He really came on last year. So
I know you're talking about the name slipped my mind too. The
name just slipped my mind. I actually wanted him in Chicago. He's a good 3 and D guy. That's who Vassell reminds me of. So
Javon Carter.
You lost him.
James, yeah. So, but yeah, I know he's talking about too.
Was it Javon Carter?
Might be Carter.
Might have been Carter. Might have been Carter. So, but all right. Well, let's move on to. We got a couple more. I got my man Mike Jones. Mike Jones. Who? Got Mike Jones in. So let me get James back on.
Sorry about that. I had
No,
no idea what happened. I had to hit the button.
Hey, Jameis, is his name Javon Carter?
No, not Javon Carter. That's a point guard. He's a wing. His name starts with an M. I just can't think of his name.
Oh, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
Oh, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
Yes.
That's who Vassell reminds me of. I know a lot of mocks have him going to Phoenix, but I think it's redundant. I think Mikal Bridges is growing and getting pretty good. But the ideal guy, I like Patrick Williams. If he drops, supposedly he's flying up the draft boards right now. They even talk of him coming to Chicago at 4. But he'd be one of those perfect fits if the Knicks had to draft somebody, him or Halliburton. Those would be the two guys that I would think of for the Knicks. But they need to get that pick out of there. They need to get a veteran guy in there, somebody Tibbs can lean on. And he needs somebody he can put 56 minutes on. They can't do that with RJ. RJ proves he can't handle that.
Yeah, especially not yet. And then they say he needs Westbrook or somebody like that. I mean, Westbrook over there in New York, he like I said, a guy that he can lean on because like Tibbs, he leaned on Jimmy Butler for all those years, and so he needs a guy like that. And Westbrook cut from that same cloth with the toughness at the very least. He like I said, they won't win a lot of games, but Westbrook gonna get his 30 shots and 30 points. So that's all he cares about right now. I don't think he cares about trying to win anymore, but we'll see. But let's talk about the Bulls since we got Mike Jones in here. Jameis, our boy Mike Jones. He said he was late. He said, who do you think the Bulls? So resident Bulls fan, let's see what you got. What you think of the Bulls? Who you think they're at number 4? Do they trade that pick?
Danny Avdija. He just seems to make the most sense if they have to draft. I would rather them kind of trade back and try to get something else, to be honest. But if they have to draft somebody, Benny seems to be one of those solid fits. They need somebody on the wing when Otto Porter is done. I know he re-upped. He wasn't going to turn down $28 million, but he'll be a free agent next year when 21 comes along, and that's going to help to have somebody in there who knows the system, who can play, pretty much on both sides, who can probably stroke it a little bit. So it's a safe pick. I would rather them trade back, try to get some assets or get somebody established, but I really am high on Denny. I like what he brings to the table, and I like what he would bring for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that pick too. What do you think, Nathan? What do you think the Bulls could do? And they can actually move up because they could trade that number 4 pick, maybe try to move up to 3, 2. Golden State, we talking to get that number 2 pick, but then they could trade down too. So
don't want Melo. No LaMelo.
I don't want LaMelo either. And I mean, if he fell, that'd be one thing, but not at number 2. But what do you think, Nathan? What do you think of the Bulls?
The Bulls are really like what they're building there with Billy Donovan now as a head coach. I like that hire. That's a perfect fit for him. To be honest, this draft is not for me. This draft does not fit the Bulls at all. I think they need to trade the 4th pick to get an established player. I just don't know who. I think either they should call Milwaukee and see if Chris Middleton would be available. I think he'd be a good fit for Chicago, Chris Middleton, or call Detroit and see if Blake Griffin is available or some other veteran presence they can bring to the Bulls. But I think Chris Middleton, watch out. I think the Bulls should definitely consider calling the Bucks for Chris Middleton.
I never thought about Middleton because then he wouldn't have to be the number 1 guy. He is a 2 or a 3 at the most. We've seen what he just doesn't do well in the playoffs, like being in the established number 2 guy. So being a 3 or something like that, and the Bulls are going to need a 3 pretty soon. So I can see something like that too. They'll have to give up that 4th pick and some players to get Middleton just to fit the salaries. But that's an interesting rumor. That would be an interesting rumor for the Bulls to get. What do you think, Damian, of the Bulls? They're in a pretty good spot, but I agree. I think they could use a veteran too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with both of you guys. I think this draft. The fact that you guys finally get a top 5 pick in this draft,
right.
It's a little bit of a rough pick right there. So I do think they should try to trade it to get an established player. Blake Griffin is very interesting. If healthy, I believe Blake is still a top 20 guy in this league. But that's the problem. It's a big if healthy when it comes to Blake Griffin. But we saw a couple years ago when he was healthy for most of the year, he was a 3rd-team All-NBA guy, got Detroit to the playoffs. So if he's healthy, those knees can hold up. He can help the Bulls out tremendously along with Zach LaVine. And if you get an established 3. The question I wanted to ask you guys about the guy that you brought up from Italy, do you think that he could be a little bit of a Lauri Markkanen type? Are you afraid of doing that again?
So I looked into that a lot. I kind of studied him because at first I thought.
I lost him again.
What's going on?
I don't know. He keeps getting cut off. But so he could be kind of like Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, there you go.
My bad.
Nope.
I'm on my cell phone. I keep tapping the button.
No doubt. So we were just talking about like could he be Lauri Markkanen? Lauri Markkanen. He's in the right system. Yeah. The Bulls just haven't used him correctly. You know what I mean? Like the coaching they didn't know how to use him. I think he's gonna have a big year. And if you get another guy like him, sure, but the Bulls just need players. They need guys because they're close. They're close to becoming at least a playoff team, at least an 8 seed, 7 seed. But it's just more of I'd rather them get a veteran, but they gotta have. I think they just gotta keep Markkanen. Just let him play his game because his rookie year he played well. His rookie year he was dominant. His rookie year, and then he got hurt, the injuries, and then he lost his confidence. So now it's just all about he got Billy Donovan. Maurice Cheeks is over there too. So
Maurice.
So they can. I think the Bulls will be fine. He's got to make the right pick. What do you think, James? What do you think of the Bulls' 4th pick?
Yeah, and that, like I was saying before I cut myself off, I think I studied Denny a little bit. He doesn't necessarily play the exact same way. He's athletic, but similarly athletic. He's not necessarily a shooter. He's more of a slasher, an off the ball kind of player that way. But he plays a lot with the ball in his hands. He can pass and dish. He's definitely suited more for the 3 than Lauri is. Lauri is a current day 4. Playing the position the way that he plays. He can play on the block. He plays outside. That's really where he's limited to. But he's really good at both of those. I don't think that they would be redundant. I think that he would be the perfect fit at the wing. If he can bring anything defensively like it's stated that he can, then he definitely would be that guy to replace Otto Porter and Chandler Hutchinson, get those guys out of there and have an established a pretty solid talent at the wing. So I do like the fit. At first I didn't. I thought that it would be redundant, but the more I looked into it, I think he would be good at the 3 in the NBA.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that. I know that all of us expect. Excuse me. I know all of us expect the Anthony Davis to go back to LA, but he opted out. I'm just hoping. Like, why not just consider taking a meeting with the Bulls? This is
we would love that
because that's his hometown, right? So let me explain why he should just take a sit-down meeting with the Bulls.
Bring it on.
Before going back to the Lakers, which all we expect that he's going to go back, but why not just sit down with the home team town for like a 4-hour, not even 4 hours, 3-hour meeting, just to discuss what their future plans are, because. You never know. Probably the next 3-4 years, if the Bulls are in contention, Anthony Davis will be looking at the team, say, "Let me finish my career at home. Let me wait till 4 years until they have a team, and then come back home and play in front of my family." So why not just sit down just for a 2-hour meeting, discuss the future plans, and just have a talk. That's it.
I mean, I would love that. I know James would love that as a Bulls fan. And, Damian, I mean, Anthony Davis was in your New Orleans. He was there. Yeah. We know how great of a player he is. This guy's a top 3, top 5 player in the league. I think with the hometown thing, I think sometimes it's just the pressure. It always gets to these players. You know, Derrick Rose was one of those type of players. You know, had a great run, MVP and everything, but then the injuries and then the confidence and things like that, and just playing in front of his hometown, I think that definitely gets players to be like, oh, we got all this pressure to really produce. So if Anthony Davis comes to Chicago, which I think he would fit, he fit anywhere just about.
Yeah.
It would I just think it'd just be more of the pressure. That's why I think. Plus, he's playing with LeBron for the next couple of years. He's going to want to win a couple more championships. Like now, he going to taste that championship. He's ready to get a couple more, and they're going to be in contention again, of course. As long as LeBron's playing at a high level and he's playing at a high level, LeBron can get the keys right to Anthony Davis, and you see what happened in the finals this year. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind Anthony Davis just having a discussion with Chicago. Definitely.
But yeah, sorry, we're not, even though I haven't. I need to bring this up. I've been scrolling Twitter just to see if anything's like rolling. I have an update on James Harden's situation. So
yeah, let's get into that. 'Cause I want to get a little bit into that. Let's talk about James Harden.
Woj is saying that the Rockets they want a massive haul if they decide to trade James Harden. And Kendrick Perkins said, when the Rockets say massive haul, they say meaning Kyrie Irving potentially being in the deal.
Yeah, I saw that. Let's get into that. So we're going to talk about a little bit of free agency now, which is right after the draft. We also got, the season starts December 22nd, so that's starting earlier than we expected. We thought it was going to be in January, so they start December 22nd. That's Christmas time, so that's usually when that's when a lot of NBA fans are really ready to roll for his Christmas time. So, but we've seen a lot of rumors, a lot of trade rumors. So James Harden's one of the biggest names. So let's get into that. James Harden. So he wants to leave. The rumors that he wants to leave Houston. He wants to go to Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that situation? If Harden does get traded from Houston, what do you think? We'll start with you, James. Let's start with you on this James Harden. And do you think he actually does get traded? And do you think he does go to Brooklyn? And will it work?
No. No, absolutely not. I don't think he goes. I don't think he leaves Houston. But I definitely don't think he's going to Brooklyn to play with Kyrie and KD. I did hear Kendrick say, throw out there the possibility of Kyrie being in the deal. That's also why I don't think that would happen. Kyrie, KD, they never even got a chance to play together. If they're picking their coaches, they're definitely going to tell somebody where they're going or where they're not going.
Right.
So that's not happening. I do think the Sixers are in play because Ben Simmons probably is probably one that they're going to trade. They would trade off to get Harden, but I don't really see that working either. That's why I don't think he's going to go to Brooklyn. I don't think he's even leaving Houston. I think Russell Westbrook is the guy who's going to be gone. He's the guy who wants out the most, and they're not going to get rid of both. I don't really see them blowing the whole thing up that fast. So I expect James Harden to stay in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, what else is interesting too, and I forgot who brought it up, but somebody brought it up. I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying that what if Westbrook just threw this out there and said, "I want to be traded," and it just pushes Harden out, and Westbrook stays in Houston, and he becomes the guy in Houston that they build.
Oh wow!
That's why now, because I think it was Bill Simmons said this.
Yeah,
he said this. Yeah, yeah. So and he's always somebody's out there, but sometimes he's got his plugs and everything. But if he said that, he said, "Well, Westbrook just threw this out there just to say, you know what, this report comes out where there was a lot of dissension in the locker room, a lot of players were upset, and everything. Let's blow this up." But then the next day, Harden's people come on and say he wants to be traded now, and then Harden gets traded. Westbrook stays like, I got what I wanted, So that's a possibility too. But Damien, what do you think of this Harden situation? And do you think he leaves? Do you think he gets traded? And will it work in Brooklyn?
I don't know if he gets traded because we have to remember this is a business, right? And when fans are able to come back to the game, you have to provide something for them to come back for.
Right.
And if you trade away James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who am I coming to see? Like I love Austin Rivers, but I'm not paying money to come see Austin Rivers play.
Eric Gordon.
So we have to remember that part of it. And Houston's owner is one of the people that's going through it the roughest right now with COVID, because a lot of his businesses have been affected because he owns restaurants, places where you need people to be in close situations around each other. So he's going to be wanting that money to come in once the fans come back in, and you need an attraction. James Harden is that attraction, or Russell Westbrook can't be that attraction for you. So one of them has to stay. As far as the Brooklyn situation, if you have to trade Kyrie Irving in the trade, then Brooklyn's not going to do it, I don't think, because the attraction of that is to have a big three with Kyrie, James, and KD. Now, the problem with that big three is two of them are the same player. Kyrie Irving and James Harden are the same player. James Harden is just a bigger, better version of Kyrie. Like that's the only difference between them, pretty much. And James Harden is because he's bigger and stronger, he's better as a post defender than Kyrie. Like Kyrie's just bad all around on defense. James has improved somewhat to where he can be better in the post. Right. So if you have two of the same guys right now, that puts Kyrie on the back burner. KD is so good. KD's going to do his thing. Like he's not going to be affected by a situation as far as getting his numbers. But those two guys I can see being affected in a negative way. And the reason that the Nets are so attractive right now, we see them as the favorites in the East, is that they have such a deep roster with KD, Kyrie, Spencer Dinwiddie. We just saw Karis LeVert had a great time in the bubble balling out. If they re-sign Joe Harris, he's a very good three-point shooter, underrated defender. So they have a great squad there. Even, big men and Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan is a good backup, but it's overpaid. But still,
whatever's left of DeAndre Jordan.
He's a good backup there as well. So they have a good roster now. So if you can get James Harden and don't have to deplete the roster, I can see him doing it. But if you have to give up Kyrie Irving, then what's the point?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And like you said, the attraction is Kyrie and KD. And Kyrie and KD are good friends, so that's the reason why they got together, so they can play. So now if they're healthy, I mean, Brooklyn right now in the East, that's with KD and Kyrie, they're in the top half. They're top 3, top 4 team, healthy wise. And you got Steve Nash as a coach, even though Kyrie said it's going to get by committee. So that might be a problem. But he's got Steve Nash. D'Antoni's over there now.
Amari Stoudemire.
They're trying to bring the Phoenix to this. They're trying to be Phoenix East. They're trying to bring Phoenix East to this. To this run. But if you get James Harden, and if they do get Harden and they keep Kyrie and KD, I don't think it's going to work, because all three of them need the ball. Yes, KD can play off the ball. He can get 25 in his sleep. So that's nothing. So I just don't see it working if Harden does go there, because Harden still wants to be the man. Kyrie still wants to be the man, and they said KD wants to be the man. So how is that going to work? They would have to do like a Golden State where they'll have to get something like, well, Clay's like, okay, I'm still getting my 20 points, but who's going to be that guy? Who's going to take that back seat? I can't see Harden and Kyrie doing that at all, because KD's the established number one alpha dog of that team. So what do you think, Nathan, of that? If Harden, does he go to Brooklyn, or does he go to Philly? Does he go somewhere, or does he stay in Houston?
Man, there's a lot of rumors heading towards Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a hot attraction right now here in free agency already, because I've been hearing that Serge Ibaka and the Nets have strong mutual interest in the deal. And Kevin Durant has been recruiting Serge Ibaka as we speak. And that'd be a perfect fit for Brooklyn with Serge Ibaka. I think the better situation I really want to see Harden in Brooklyn. I want to see that happen. But I agree with you guys. If you think about it, it has to work. But I don't think it will work with those three. But here's a better situation for Brooklyn. Try and sign Serge Ibaka, and then try and get Drew Holiday in a trade. Because Spencer Dinwiddie has been in trade rumors too. So if you get Drew Holiday and Serge Ibaka, that's a much better situation than having Harden, I think, in my opinion. You have those complementary players with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. That team is scarier too.
They would be scary. Just like I said, just gotta make the pieces fit. Right now, they don't have to do. To me, Brooklyn don't have to do anything. Like
they got everything they need right now. You could mess it up, be going for broke with James Harden right now when you have a really good roster there.
Right, because I mean, you said if you got the roster, Karis LeVert, like I said, he's a player, he's a baller. I really like his game, and he showed enough in the bubble and last season, in the playoffs too. I mean, he carried that team to the playoffs, and they were I think they were the 8th seed, 7 seed. So he's good enough. Spencer Dinwiddie's buckets. So I really like Brooklyn just the way they are. As long as they got KD and Kyrie running the show, and Karis LeVert is their third option, I'm good to go. I'm good with Brooklyn being what they are, but I can see them trying to swing for the fences and trying to get James Harden.
You think so?
To Nathan's point about Drew Holiday as a Pelicans fan, we don't need like I don't want to give up Drew at all, right? But I understand Drew wants to go to a contender, so I get it. So we have to give him up. So the Nets will be a perfect situation, but we need both Spencer and Karis. If we're gonna give up
both of them.
We need both of them.
Yeah, so
we're gonna give up Drew to add to our young core, and I think with both of those guys, our team will look really solid if we can get both of those guys in that trade. Like for Drew, I want to get a lot for Drew because Drew is very underrated in how good he is both offensively and defensively.
He's an excellent player.
So I think that we would have to get a lot for him. I know Boston's been the big talk. People like Marcus Smart, maybe Kemba even, they've been talking about. So we'll see, but hopefully we can keep Drew, though.
Yeah, so here's all right. Yeah, so Harden, Courtney, you really think the Nets are going to swing for the fences for?
I mean, if Harden's name's out there, I think they will try to swing for it.
Yeah, so here's a potential trade package without giving up Kyrie. You can give up Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. They traded Musa today for some guy from Detroit.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But you can give up without giving up Kyrie, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, draft picks. I think that will do it.
Too much.
It's too much. They just deplete the team. Like they wouldn't have anybody to. They'll have the top. They'll be top heavy, but no bench. We've seen teams like that be top heavy and don't win. They get far, but they won't win the championship.
It's the Knicks and Melo. They give up a lot of their guys. Because I saw a lot of that trade that you were just talking about, Nathan. And that there's too many solid pieces in Brooklyn to give all three of those up to get Harden and then have nothing coming back, nothing off your bench, no picks to really help you. That's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue with that. Drew Holiday, who's a big name that's out there. We have the Pelican fan right here, Mr. Adams here, and I know you don't want to lose Drew Holiday. He lost AD, but you definitely don't want to lose Drew either. What do you think of Drew Holiday? Because I mean, there was rumors of him going to. I mean, the Bulls were in play. Phoenix was in play. But now they got Chris Paul, which we'll touch on that too, which was a big trade for OKC. Golden State, they've been in play for the Drew Holiday. Denver,
the Mavericks are out now, so I heard.
Yeah, so I mean, if Drew does leave, where do you think he will go, Damian?
If he does leave, I would want to get him to a contender. He's been a great player for us. He's been through a lot in the New Orleans organization as far as him, his wife, everything that he's been through. So I would love to see him go to a situation where he can win. Brooklyn, that would be a good situation for him to win the championship. Boston would be a good situation. I think we can get a lot back from Boston as well, as far as maybe a Marcus Smart or maybe a Kemba Walker, along with a draft pick. Because with Drew, he can fit in any situation because somebody who plays defense like that automatically fits in. No matter what the system is, you play defense at that level, we're like, okay, we can make you fit in somehow. And I think he can fit into any situation and help a team win a championship. Hopefully we can keep him because I love the core of Lonzo, Drew, Zion, and Brandon Ingram. I love that core for the future. And with Drew's 29, so he still can be good enough for the next few years for the rest of those guys to grow and catch up to him. And then for us to get a championship, maybe a couple years from now and maybe add a piece here or find a piece there. But we have to give him up. At least give him to a contender. No disrespect to your Bulls, but I wouldn't want him to go to the Bulls. Just because you guys aren't winning like anytime soon. So for me, I would love to see him go to a Boston or Brooklyn. If there's anybody in the Western Conference, I'm trying to think that anybody who would need a Drew or anybody who would try to give up something for Drew. Golden State would be perfect. I don't know who we get back. I'm not a big Andrew Wiggins guy, so I don't. If we got him back, I'll be kind of upset. So I'm not really sure what they can give us of value there for him. And that's number 2 pick, of course.
The Clippers would be a perfect fit too for Drew Holiday.
The Clippers would be. We get. I think we got enough strip clubs for Lou Williams to enjoy himself in. So he would come here and have a good time. So yeah, I think we'll get Lou back. If they sign Trez back, I think Trez will probably be a part of that trade as well. But I think Los Angeles would be a good place. Any one of those contenders that I mentioned, I think would be a good place for Drew. But I want to keep him at all costs.
Yeah, they definitely want to keep him. And the Celtics is a good pick because what the Celtics are trying to do, they're trying to get rid of all their draft picks. And it's fun. It's so funny how they've had all those picks for all those years, and they didn't really use them enough. They had all those assets, all those picks, and now they got those 3, and they're trying to get rid of them, and nobody wants them really. So Drew Holiday, if they said like, look, I want all 3 of those picks, and then Marcus Smart. Here you go. Yeah. But I know the Celtics, they're trying to get rid of those picks. What do you think, James? What do you think of Drew Holiday? What do you think if he does leave New Orleans, where would he go?
I've seen a lot with Denver and them giving up Gary Harris and Will Barton and a pick possibly.
I would do that.
I think he needs to go to a contender. I agree. Courtney, I've been texting you. We've been talking about Drew for years. How can they get Drew? I actually want them to get either one of New Orleans point guards. I'm actually a fan of Zoe as far as the NBA fit for Chicago. Not necessarily a huge fan of his game, but what I think he could do for Chicago, I think is a fit. So I would love for him to be in Chicago, but I do agree he's been in the league a long time. He's been an established player in the league for a long time. He deserves to go to a contender. I think that's what he's looking for. And Denver may be an option for him with what they're looking to give back, and what I think they could give back that would help New Orleans down the road.
Yeah, Denver's is an interesting team because they're like right there. Like they are, right in the mix. They was just in the conference finals against the Lakers, just didn't have enough. But if you get Drew Holiday, I would rather have him than Gary Harris, Will Barton, fit right there with Murray and Joker and Michael Porter. That guy, man, Michael Porter is a baller, man. He's a baller. But what do you think, Nathan? What do you think of Drew Holiday? You think he stays in New Orleans, or does he go somewhere, as you said, a couple of those Denver, Boston, any of those contenders?
I'm going to say he ends up in Brooklyn if they don't get James.
He on his Brooklyn kick.
I really think Brooklyn is going to end up with the 3rd player in here. It's either going to be James Harden or Drew Holiday. I think Brooklyn they're going to go all in this offseason, and I think they're going to end up with Serge Ibaka too, and one of Harden. And so, all right, here's my prediction for Brooklyn. They're going to end up with Harden and Ibaka, or Drew Holiday and Ibaka. So there you go.
So they have to fit all them contracts. So we'll see if they. But then again, if they trade, they would have to make the trades for Harden, and they would trade some of those big contracts. But man, Brooklyn's in a good spot too. Like you said, they put, or they can just go for broke. So we'll see. Let's talk about. I want to talk about Westbrook. As we talked about him a little bit. Let's see where he goes. What do you guys think where Westbrook goes? There's been rumors of him in Charlotte. We said New York. These are 2 teams that aren't going anywhere anytime soon, even with Westbrook. I think Charlotte's a bad idea, only because Michael Jordan would pick him because he's on the Jordan brand and he will sell tickets. I think that's the only reason why his name is in Charlotte. If not, I'd rather pay Rozier and instead of Westbrook, just for the fact that the contracts. That's the only reason why I wouldn't pay Westbrook all that money. And Westbrook's still an established player, but I don't know where Westbrook goes. James, where do you think Westbrook goes?
I think I mentioned it earlier. I think if we really get down to fit for Westbrook, he wants the keys to the city. He wants to be able to have his own team. I really do like the fit for him in New York. I don't know if they have enough to get Westbrook. I have seen some interesting trade ideas that I think would allow them to get somebody like Westbrook without giving up RJ, without giving up Mitch. And if they can do that, I think that would be perfect for them. I don't really like the fit for him in Charlotte. I don't like Charlotte at all for him either. I'm not really sure where I see him going, to be honest. He just, because he's looking to do too much, I'm not sure who's looking to give up everything to have him come in and be their established star. That's why I say I think New York fits, because if nothing else, when things get back to normal, Russell Westbrook is going to sell tickets, and the Knicks don't really have a lot of issues selling tickets. You just want to have that one guy who is going to make everybody come and fill the Garden, and Westbrook would still be that guy. So I really think if I had to set down a team, it would be New York.
Yeah, I think New York too. I was saying New York. I mean Charlotte, just because of the Jordan factor. I've heard Utah. That's what I did hear. I was like, that would be
nuts.
Yeah. Right? Utah, but they said him and Donovan Mitchell. I mean, they would be a terror.
Number one.
Yeah, they'd be a terror. And if they keep Gobert, they would. I mean, that's Utah looking. They're another team that's looking for another guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he goes there, he wouldn't be the man. But Westbrook, I think he wants to go somewhere where he can be the guy again. But I definitely went to Utah. But that was just a rumor that they threw out there. So what do you think, Damien? What do you think about Westbrook? Where do you think he ends up, or does he stay in Houston and Harden leaves?
He may end up stuck in Houston. Like there may be a point where he's not able to go anywhere else. And the crazy thing, he's still a top 20 guy, but his fit is just so unique because of the way he plays. And the fact that he just turned 32, right, a couple of days ago. And for him, his 32, I think, is older than most stars' 32.
Right.
The way that he plays, he's not going to develop a jump shot at this point, right? He's never had one. He's not going to develop a three-point shot, and it's getting worse. It's not like he got to a point where it was average or if it was okay. This has always been bad. So he still has to drive to the goal to make his points and to make an impact. And other teams aren't going to do the micro ball like Houston did. The reason he had the numbers he had last year is that the lane was so wide open that he can do what he can do. So I think that's one thing he might be overlooking, is that another team's not going to be able to do that for him to get the numbers that he gets and get those back to those triple-double type numbers. But if he does get traded, the Knicks, of course, an aging superstar, bring him to the Knicks. That's their
MO, right?
Yeah, that's what they do. One trade that I did look at was Detroit. I think that's an interesting situation. You put him and Blake together, you have a decent squad. They would have to trade Brandon Knight, who for some reason makes $15 million a year. I don't know why, but for some reason he makes $15 million a year. So you put him in the trade. You put Derrick Rose in the trade, of course, and along with probably like Tony Snell. And that would be enough money to match with Russell Westbrook. And you put Russell, Blake together, try to find a third decent piece there to be a wing guy. And you have a decent squad that could make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, maybe the second round if everything works out perfectly, but probably a first round exit. But at least you have an exciting team that you can sell to your fans there in Detroit, which is a city that needs to be able to sell to their fans. So I think Detroit's interesting. New York would be, of course, perfect for Russ. He gets to be Russell Westbrook, triple-double guy. The fans would love the fact that he plays 110% all the time, runs 100 miles per hour. So the Knicks fans would love that. But, of course, that would end in a first-round exit. You'll get some dunks. You get some screams, some yells. But at the end of the day, it's going to lead to a first-round exit. So he might end up stuck in Houston. But if he does get traded, I think the Knicks and the Pistons can be a dark horse for that.
Yeah, I heard about that Pistons trade too, and the Pistons just haven't been relevant in years, and that would, like you said, that would sell tickets. And Westbrook would be a name that they could use with him and Blake. If Blake is healthy, I read too that Blake, they said this is the healthiest he's been. I mean, he's rested a lot. I mean, he
ain't playing 6 months.
He should be good.
He better be healthy and ready to go.
Ready to go. His knees should be good. So Westbrook, they can run that pick and roll And it would, like I said, it will sell tickets because Westbrook's always going to play 110%. That's just Westbrook's game. He's an aggressive, hard-nosed player, which that he's got that old school game, which I do love. But you brought up a good point too about the lack of a 3-point shot and the 10 plus years he's played, he's never developed it. That's why it didn't work, and it didn't work in Houston the first year. I always figured without all these rumors going around, I also figured that they was just going to run it back one more year, at least try it one more time. Why not? Just to do it, just to see if it can work, because you just never know. Maybe D'Antoni was the problem. I've been saying that maybe he should have been fired 2 seasons ago. But they try to run it back with him again. He was a lame duck coach in the beginning of this season anyway. So no matter what, they had to win a championship for him to stay. So maybe it was D'Antoni, but now there's a lot of other problems with Austin Rivers complaining and PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon. So I don't know where Westbrook's going. He's one of those guys. I have really no answer. I can see him staying. I can see him going somewhere else. So we'll see. And Mike Jones says Westbrook to Philly. Maybe him and him together. I don't know. Nathan, I want to go to you with that.
The only thing.
Go ahead,
David. Go ahead, James.
I was just saying that's one of those like them saying him going to Utah. I just don't see.
Yeah, right.
That don't work. Him and Embiid don't work.
Yeah.
For me, if you trade him to Philly, you're giving up Ben Simmons, who is a younger, bigger, stronger, faster version of Westbrook, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. Now the difference is Westbrook is willing to shoot the three. He might not make it, but he's willing to shoot it.
Yes.
Now with Ben Simmons, hopefully, he's working with a sports psychologist and all that stuff. Hopefully he gets to the point where he's willing to shoot the three eventually, or at least give me a mid-range, give me something. But with Ben Simmons, he's also an excellent defender. As athletic as Russell Westbrook is, he's never been great on defense. You have splashes here and there where you'll see like the athleticism, you'll see steals. He'll pick somebody's pocket, or he'll run the lane and get a dunk. But he's never been great on defense, which he should have been. Especially during his prime, he should have been a great defender. He never was consistent. Ben Simmons is a great defender because of his size and length, can defend pretty much all 5 positions in today's NBA. So I wouldn't give up Ben Simmons for Russell Westbrook. That just wouldn't be smart.
So,
yeah, what do you think of that Westbrook to Philly?
Oh, me or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a potential good fit. I mean, they have to give up Ben Simmons or something, right? Or Embiid probably. Embiid, or I would give up. You know what? Westbrook would be a perfect fit with Embiid with the pick and roll. I think you should definitely consider trading Ben Simmons for Westbrook and then go from there. But I have some other teams that could fit for Westbrook. I got the Clippers. If they don't get Rondo, I got the Clippers. He can fit there. I got New York, obviously. New York Knicks. He wants the keys. If he wants the keys to this, all right. Here's the thing: if he wants the keys to the city, then New York is the perfect fit for him. Another one is Chicago, Jameis teams. I didn't.
He talked about that. We actually talked about Westbrook and Chicago. I don't think.
I like him in Chicago, New York, Philly, even. Here's a team. I would say. I don't know if this would happen, but I would say going back to OKC, but I don't think that's going to happen. But.
No, I don't see that happening either. And if he goes to Chicago, he would play back with Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
Then he has some success. I mean, he has success with Donovan too. Yeah. I mean, that'll be a factor. But if he goes,
I don't think Donovan wants that.
I don't want that. I don't think he wants that either. I don't think Doc Rivers don't want that in Philly either. I don't think. Forget Doc Rivers is over there now. I think what Philly's going to do, just being here, they're thinking about just keeping everybody for at least one more run with Simmons and Embiid, just to see if it can work with Doc. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, they need shooters though. That's the thing. They always need shooters. Yeah. Because if Ben Simmons is not going to shoot the ball, like you said, Damien.
Hey, don't be surprised if JJ Redick goes back to Philly.
Now he's a guy that's been they're talking about maybe Golden State. Yeah, I've heard. Wow. I heard about that too. So, but the Warriors are in a good fit. So, just got a couple more, and we've already been good hour and 15 minutes. So it's just so many rumors, so many things. But Toronto's my cousin Terrell, shout out to you, Terrell, jumping into the chat. He says, "What about Toronto? Van Vliet ends up leaving." Yeah, with Toronto now could lose Ibaka, could lose Gasol, could lose Van Vliet. They won't have Lowry, and even Lowry could be leaving. So we just never know who they could. Toronto might be a different team coming up this season. But Van Vliet, he's an interesting player too. Has definitely established himself over the last couple of years. What do you guys think of Toronto if Van Vliet leaves? I've heard the Knicks with Van Vliet too. I've heard that rumor as well. We'll start with you, Dave. What do you think of Van Vliet?
Man, Van Vliet already said, "I'm trying to get paid."
Yeah.
He already said, like, I've got my championship. It's time for me. Hey, show me the money, in the words of Cuba Gooding Jr. Like, he already said, I'm about to get paid. So it's going to be depending on what team is willing to pay him.
Yeah.
The Knicks, I think, will be willing to pay him. He'll be a good fit there. They need that type of guard presence to somebody to feed RJ Barrett and help him develop along. I think that'd be a good fit. I can see him going to – there's a number of teams I can see Van Vliet going to and them willing to pay him because he definitely showed himself to be a clutch player this year. But Toronto should do everything they can to try to keep him.
Yeah.
Because between him and Lowry, you have those players there who are willing to take those tough shots. I think we saw last year that Pascal Siakam is not that guy in the playoffs. Right. He's not that guy. I said that I'm not going to call him Spicy P anymore because in the playoffs, his game lost all the flavor.
Spicy P, not playoff P, nothing.
Yeah, I said you can't call him Spicy P no more. Maybe Bland P.
Bland.
His game didn't have no flavor in the playoffs, so he's shown that he can't be that guy for you to depend on. So you need a Van Vliet, you need a Lowry, you need maybe somebody else to add to that team because they're still a very good team. They were number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference for a reason, and because of they're so well coached and they're such a good defensive team. Yeah. They're going to be there inside games. They're going to be they're going to be there to be a contender in the Eastern Conference. So you just need to keep that unit intact, even though some of those players are getting older. Like Gasol, he's definitely getting older. If you lose him, at least keep Ibaka to start at center if you lose Gasol. But you can't lose both Gasol, Ibaka, Van Vliet. At that point, you're rebuilding around Pascal Siakam, which I don't think he's that guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree. Because Siakam, he definitely wasn't that guy. He's not the number one option, 2, 3 at best. And he didn't really improve enough to be considered, like you said, an all-star caliber player. But man, Van Vliet, it's just him and Lowry did that small backcourt got exposed in the playoffs with Boston. Yeah. And I think that's why Van Vliet's probably thinking, man, maybe I should leave. He wants to get paid too. He wants to be the number one guy. And I don't know if he's a number one guy. He could fit in a system where he can be the number 2. I mean, he's a solid point guard. He can shoot the basketball. He's tough. He can play defense, as you said. But I think his best bet is to stay in Toronto. But what do you think, James? What do you think, Van Vliet? You think he goes to somewhere like the Knicks, or does he stay in Toronto?
He's following the money, man. He wants a bag. Whoever's gonna open up the bank and just let him go at it. That's where he's going. I do think he should stay in Toronto. I think that's probably the best place for him. New York, I did see New York being a really good option for him. And they, like Damian said, they would be willing to pay if they had it, but I don't think that they really have it to give to him. There's not a lot of teams who have cap space who he could go to and it would work. So I think his best option really is to just stick it out in Toronto, get what he needs, maybe do a 1+1 or something like that, and then try again in a couple years.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Nathan? What do you think of Van Vliet? Do you think he leaves Toronto or does he stay?
I say New York Knicks. If they don't get Westbrook, I think the Knicks would be a perfect fit. And then like Jamin said and Damian said, stay in Toronto, stick it with that team. And that team, they believed in you from day one. And I think obviously environment plays a role in there. And I think he really likes Toronto. And that team is heading to the right direction too. After winning that championship, they play with grittiness, toughness, and they got a good head coach from the Pacers now. So I think that's going to be a perfect fit. So I would see him go to New York or stay in Toronto. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I can see him going back to Toronto. And like you said, Damien, Nick Nurse is a really good coach. I mean, his first year, he had Kawhi. Yeah, they had Kawhi, but Nick Nurse proved again, even this season, they took Boston 7 games, and it could have went either way. And who knows if they maybe beat Miami? I mean, we don't know, really don't know. But they're in a good spot, but they could lose quite a few players, and they'll take a step back. So I want to get to this trade that we had earlier today. Chris Paul gets moved again.
Man,
oh my goodness! Like, okay, so here it is. The Suns get Chris Paul, Abdel Nader, and the Thunder get Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, and the first round pick, 2022 LeCue, 2022 first round pick. Who do you think won this trade? I know, Damon, you did a segment on from your show that you did this. Did you like this trade? So you liked it for both teams. What do you think of the trade? Who do you think won the trade actually?
I think there was a win-win for both sides. I know Phoenix gave up a lot, but I think when you think about Chris Paul and the impact he can have on DeAndre Ayton, I think this is a win-win trade. Because when you look at Chris Paul's career, when you think about somebody like David West, for example, think of David West, you're like, oh, he's a cool player. He's somebody who had a decent mid-range jump shot, tough guy, helped the team win. You don't think of him as a two-time All-Star, but when he played with Chris Paul, he was a two-time All-Star. You think about Blake Griffin, before he improved his jump shot, became an all-around player, he was an all-star because Chris Paul knew how to set him up. DeAndre Jordan, I don't know where he is without Chris Paul. I don't know where DeAndre Jordan is without Chris Paul at all. Like, we all know how limited offensively DeAndre Jordan is, and Chris Paul made him a lot of money. So when you think about what he can do for DeAndre Ayton as far as improving him offensively, pick and roll, pick and pop, and also instilling that defensive mentality. We saw Phoenix improve a little bit defensively in the bubble. They still have a long way to go. Chris Paul is no longer going to be a first-team all-defensive guy like he was in his prime, but just his mentality on the defensive end, his communication is going to help Devin Booker. It's going to help the wing guy that James was talking about earlier being on that team. Those guys are going to learn how to play defense. DeAndre Ayton protecting the rim, moving on pick and roll. He's going to communicate what Monty Williams wants on that defensive end and on the floor. He's going to make those guys better, man. I could see Phoenix being like a 6-7 seed in the Western Conference next year because of Chris Paul.
Yeah, that's what Terrell just said in the chat. You can see the Suns being a 7th seed while adding Paul, and just to add to that with Chris Paul, look what he did for OKC. I mean, they were the 4th seed in the West, and that was the Chris Paul. That was part of most of it was Chris Paul factor because of what type of player he is. You know, he struggled in Houston because of the whole him and Harden situation just didn't work out. And yeah, they got close. I mean, they had a possibility of beating Golden State. I still feel like even if Chris Paul didn't get hurt, I think the Warriors would have figured it out.
They were beating Golden State.
No, they were beating the Warriors.
I do agree with James. I do believe in Chris Paul.
They would not beating the Warriors because KD and them would have figured it out, and they said, "Okay, we're down 3-2 in this series." Because remember, Houston went 0-for-24 from the 3-point range in Game 7.
Chris Paul stopped that.
They would have lost that game. It would have been over right there. It would have been over. They would have never got the 7.
The Warriors ain't losing at home, man. They was not going to lose at home. Then they would have beat Houston in 7 again, man. I'm telling you, KD would have averaged like 40. He was like, okay, it's time to let's end this right now. But yeah, that's a big what if. That's a big what if. But yeah, it didn't work out in Houston. So everybody thought, oh, Chris Paul's done. He's done. But it wasn't that. It was he needed to get into a system and a team where they trust him and let him be Chris Paul. And OKC did it. And they should have beat Houston anyway. They should have beat Houston. That last play call that they did was terrible at the end. But they had a chance, young team. So he goes to this team with Devin Booker, who's a bucket maker. And now that takes the pressure off him. He don't have to handle the ball all the time. He just played off the ball. And playing with a guy like Chris Paul that helps, like I said, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and even with Chris Paul, if he stays those 2 years, he's off the books. And then DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges gets that, that they can re-sign those guys. And Chris Paul, all that $40 million that he told left, that's gone now. So that'll be that interesting. What do you think, James, of Chris Paul in Phoenix?
And I think just to piggyback off of what you said with him being gone in 2 years, they didn't give up their first round pick.
Yeah,
they didn't give up. They didn't give up that pick, and I think they're going to pick a point guard who can come in and learn behind. They also have what you were saying earlier, Nathan, is Javon Carter. Javon Carter is one of those defensive guys, but he picked it up on the offensive end quickly, and I like him out there. He's one of them hard-nosed point guards also. But if they end up picking the point guard, Kyra Lewis, or they end up getting one of these young, speedy point guards who can learn behind Chris Paul and take a couple of years and do it the way it used to be done in the 80s, where you sit down, learn behind the vet, and then take the mantle when it's time. Yeah. Phoenix is going to be a really difficult team for a couple of years. Booker is an all-star. I think everybody here would say that out loud. He's definitely an all-star next year. Ayton is 18-10 without Chris Paul.
Yeah.
It's just going to go up. Yeah. It's just going to go up with him. I really like Ayton. I always have. He's kind of one of those David Robinson types to me, and you know how much I love David Robinson. Yes. And he's just going to go up because of what he's done for Blake, because of what he's done for Tyson, because of what he's done for with AD, because of what he's done for David West. Those bigs, he's had them become all-stars, and some of them didn't deserve it. DeAndre Jordan and Ayton is a ball player. Yeah. I really like the fit for him in Phoenix. He loves Monty, so it makes perfect sense. Phoenix is going to be difficult to deal with and to handle. And with him running the show and really kind of just teaching these young guys, like you said, Damon, teaching these young guys how to move, how to do things on both ends of the floor, they're going to be serious.
Yeah, they are going to be serious. What do you think, Nathan? You think that Phoenix won this trade or OKC? I mean, OKC, like I said, they got another pick. And to add to their multiples of first round and second round picks for the next 3 years. They did what Boston did a couple years ago. Yeah, it's crazy.
3 picks a year for 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy how many picks they got. What do you think, Nathan, of Phoenix getting Chris Paul?
The Suns lost this trade, by the way.
You think?
They both won the trade because OKC they got draft picks and some players, and the Suns got the player they want, obviously, even Chris Paul. And here's the thing. We all expected Chris Paul to get traded, but I was shocked at first with the team. I didn't expect the Suns to go up there and get it, but I really expected a Clippers reunion or for him to go to the Lakers to play with LeBron and AD. But the Suns, man, I really like the fit because Monty Williams used to coach Chris Paul in New Orleans. So I think that'd be a great fit. And then he said it would be an easy transition for Chris Paul. This will help Devin Booker in the long run to have an established point guard with him. That backcourt is amazing right now. And they have, obviously, DeAndre Ayton, Carter. They have surrounding pieces with those three. So I feel like it's a perfect trade for Phoenix, and I expect them to be a playoff team next year or this year.
Oh, definitely. But don't forget, they went 8-0 in the bubble for what that's worth, and they were playing hard. So, and that's without Craig said, that's without Chris Paul. So they was trying to make the playoffs. And so now you get an established leader, a coach on the court, which Chris Paul is. I know everybody says he's difficult to play with and things like that, but OKC was fine. They did really well with Chris Paul. So let's flip it to the OKC side. Now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, now the ball is in his hands now. Yeah. OKC can make the playoffs without Chris Paul now, and Billy Donovan's gone too. So I don't know if Rubio stays. They probably going to end up trading him or cutting him, waiving him, letting him go, because they said now Shai is now the ball's in his hands now. Gallinari's a free agent. So they still got Steven Adams, who got another big that Chris Paul made much better too, in a way. So what do you think of OKC, Damien? You think they can make the playoffs without Chris Paul?
It's going to be tough. That West is tough, man. that West is tough. And they already traded away Dennis Schroeder as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll talk about
that's almost 19 points a game off your bench that's gone. So it's a lot of – you have to make up a lot with – now, Kelly Oubre is somebody who can score. He's somebody who can play D as well. Ricky Rubio, his shot improved a lot last year. One of the reasons they were good in the bubble is that Ricky Rubio was somebody who actually could score. A lot of times earlier in his career, you get the fancy passes and you get, the unfortunate highlights of him getting shook and James Harden making them fall. You wouldn't get much more than that from Rubio, but now he has a decent, consistent shot to go along with SGA. Now, SGA can he handle the pressure of being that guy, of being the best guy or perceived to be the best guy on the team? In the playoffs, he did kind of shrink a little bit. He kind of hit down a little bit in the playoffs. And there was times where you're like, what happened to SGA? You know, we haven't heard from him in 5-6 minutes during this game.
Yeah.
So hopefully this year, this experience will help him grow in that way. But right now, thinking about it and being a little selfish, I got my Pelicans getting that 8th spot. So I got OKC doesn't make the playoffs this year, but it's not going to be because they're not good. It's because the West is so deep.
Yeah, the West is deep. They're, like I said, those 7-8 teams in the West, so tough. That's a gauntlet to get through. And OKC, maybe they take a little step back, but depends on the young players. Can they improve enough? What do you think, Jamie? You think OKC make the playoffs next year?
Yeah, I have to, again, agree with Damian. It's too deep. They lost their true leader, and the guy who really made them go was Chris Paul, and that's a big loss. And even though I'm all about SGA, I think he's gonna be that guy. Again, I agree. He just didn't. He's not there yet. I think he learned a lot. I think he's probably going to improve dramatically, but I don't think he's ready to be the number one guy. And they really don't have a number one guy outside of him. Kelly Oubre is going to come in and he's going to be able to jack and do whatever he wants to do. That's going to be something. If Steven Adams stays, I think they're kind of cleaning house personally. But if he stays, he's really their leader. But he's not the guy you can put, the team on his shoulders and say, get us to the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to make it. But I do agree that it was a win-win. Yeah. I think they got a lot back that can help them. I really like Jalen LeCue. I think as a backup point guard, backup combo guard. He can do quite a bit. I just watched him play a lot in the G League, and it's not just highlights with that kid. The kid grew quickly. He can really hoop. So do yourself a favor and look up Jalen LeCue and see what he can do. He can really go. But with everything that they have, they're just setting the groundwork. SGA is a big piece, cornerstone piece. They got some nice pieces to help them, and if they get the right guy in there. 1,500,000 draft picks. They'll be back in there, but I don't see them making the playoffs next year. No.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And we got breaking news: James Harden rejects Rockets extension. This was Adrian Wojnarowski. He's on it. He says after turning down the chance to become the first $50 million a year player in league history, he's made it clear. He's made it clear that he wants to trade to Brooklyn. They said there's been no dialogue.
Hold on a second.
Wow.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Let me track back. Hold on. Woj only mentioned Brooklyn, or is the Sixers in there still?
There doesn't say anything about Sixers in this one. Just
only says Brooklyn on there.
What you say?
It only says Brooklyn right now on that.
Yeah, tweet. Brooklyn. That's it.
So wow.
Yeah, so he just turned down an extension and he could have been $50 million a year, and he wants to go to Brooklyn. So
wow,
it might be a done deal. We might maybe after this broadcast he might be in Brooklyn on Wednesday.
Who? All right, I'm curious to see what the trade package is, though. I'm curious to see what the trade package.
Man, it could be. It's probably like I said. It's gonna be LeVert. It's gonna be Dinwiddie.
That's too much, though. That's too much.
Too much.
Yeah, it's gonna probably be a draft pick. It's gonna be a couple of draft picks. Houston's gonna try to get. They're gonna try to get like the Paul George package. Like they're gonna try to get some. They want 2-3 draft picks. They want some players. They want some borderline all-star type players. We want some guys because
that's crazy.
So so Harden rejects attention. Brooklyn, yeah, they get Harden. We'll see. All right, so the last one I wanted to get to was the Lakers. Can't leave without talking about the Lakers and them trying to repeat, and who are they going to get and everything. What do you guys think of the Lakers? I mean, they're going to re-sign AD. They just got what's the OKC guard we were just talking about? Schroeder. Yep, Dennis Schroeder. Yep, just picked him up, or they're getting ready to get him for Danny Green. Probably gonna lose Rondo then if they got Schroeder. What do you think of the Lakers repeating, their chance of repeating? And so now they got Shooter, who's man, that guy's buckets too. Another guy that's just buckets. Walking buckets. Sorry, you, James. What do you think of the Lakers and their chances of repeating?
I don't like it. Just because I think Golden State is really the established team in the West right now, and I don't think that AD and LeBron, with what they had last year, last season, could beat Golden State, and they're not really bringing in enough to beat Golden State going forward. It depends on what goes on, over free agency, but I don't think they have enough. Once they re-sign AD to whatever number he's gonna sign to, they're not gonna have a lot in the bank. KCP's he didn't accept the offer. Rondo declined. They had a lot of guys decline, so they're going to be looking for a lot of those one-year guys, which LeBron always seems to get. But they need a couple more established guys. They need some shooters, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get the right guys around them to beat Golden State. I'm not saying that they couldn't do it, because you got two of the top 4 players in the NBA on your roster. I don't necessarily want to bet against them, but I really think Golden State is just the gold standard in the West, and they're coming back healthy. As long as they're injury free, they're going to be solid. But the Lakers are the Lakers. I guess they kind of got themselves back in working order with LeBron and AD, and I wouldn't be surprised if they came out of the West. I just don't expect them to this year.
Yeah, what do you think, Nathan? What do you think of the Lakers and their chances again repeating, depending on, like I said, Dennis Schroeder, a guy, like you said, that can come off the bench, can handle the ball. And that's what the Lakers, that was their problem when Rondo was out and they lost Avery Bradley, when he didn't make it to the bubble. They needed a guy that can handle the ball Rondo made a huge difference for them in the playoffs and the finals. And now Schroeder's another ball handler, a better scorer than Rondo. What do you think? And they re-signed AD. I think they got Caruso still, another ball handler. So Kuzma, he's been on a trading block, so he could be moved too. And that's losing another player if the Lakers do allow him to go. But what do you think, Nathan? What do you think of the Lakers' chances in the West to repeat?
Before we get to that, I just want to get to something. I follow this guy is a reliable NBA reporter. He said that a source, he quoted Adrian's tweet, Woj's tweet. He said a source tells him that James Harden and Kevin Durant met in Los Angeles last week to affirm their desire to play together on the Nets.
It's probably going to happen soon, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yeah, but going back to the question, here's the thing. I expect the Lakers to go back to the finals, but it hinges on where Rondo goes. Because if Rondo goes to the Clippers, I think the Clippers have a legitimate chance to take over the Lakers. The Clippers are missing that one piece in Rondo. They need a high IQ point guard. And I feel like with Rondo going to the Clippers, I think the Clippers have a chance to dethrone the Lakers rerun. And then I really do. This hinges. This will tell me where Rondo goes. So that's the thing.
So the Clippers, I was on that Clipper bandwagon last year. It didn't work out, but they get somebody like it's hard to bet against.
So I
had Clippers and Bucks in the finals, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work out that way. But it was just, like you said, it was just the Lakers got it at the right time in that bubble, and they got on that run. And once they found out that chemistry worked, but I don't know. We'll see what the Clippers do. The Clippers need to do something because they're probably gonna lose Montrezl Harrell more than likely. He can't guard AD, so that hurts them. So, but depends on Paul George and Kawhi and probably Pat Bev and all. They just need a mix. And losing Doc Rivers and getting Ty Lue, I don't know if that's an improvement or not. We'll see. We'll see. But Damian, what you think of the Lakers and their chances of repeating as champions again?
I think they have a good shot just because you have two of the top 4 guys. When you have LeBron, who's still playing at this top level Anthony Davis, who is just getting better. I don't know how.
Right.
You always think there's a cap, and then he just happens to go over that. He's still getting better. So with those two guys, you're going to have a shot at repeating, right? And with Golden State, I do like what they're doing, but they are missing that depth that they used to have. So pre-Kevin Durant, they had the whole strength in numbers thing, right? They had so much depth on their roster when you think about Leandro Barbosa and Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, even David West. They had such a deep bench. That bench is gone, but they don't have that Kevin Durant guy that is just a difference maker that changes everything, right? Now, of course, Steph and Clay, Draymond, amazing. And, Andrew Wiggins, I think being the fourth option is a really good spot for him. But I don't know if they have the depth to deal with the Clippers and the Lakers. For the Clippers, I still got that sour taste in my mouth from picking them to win the NBA championship. And, letting us down. I think they're still spitting up chicken bones from choking.
Sweet pepper Lou, man.
So that was one of the biggest choke jobs I've ever seen. And their chemistry issues bother me. The facts that everything coming out about how people didn't like the fact that Paul George got special treatment or Kawhi got special treatment, or the fact that they agree with Kawhi getting it, but not Paul George. And Paul George, for me, Paul George his talent level should be one of the top guys in the league.
Yeah.
You think about what he can do as far as his scoring and defense, he should be top 5 in the league. And for some reason, only reached that level that 1 year in OKC where he was like third in MVP voting. So for him, it's like, why isn't he not at that top level?
Yeah.
And they don't have that leader, right? So for me, I can't trust the Clippers again. I'm not going to put my chips in that basket again. So I still have to go with the Lakers as the favorite in the Western Conference. But Golden State will definitely be there nipping at their heels. Denver is going to get more mature if they add another piece. So it's going to be tough, but I still have the Lakers as the favorite.
Yeah, you bring up with the Clippers and Paul George. I'm a big fan of Paul George too, with the talent and everything. He should be what Jimmy Butler was just did in this final run. And Jimmy just established himself and said, I got to be good on the offense and defense. We know how Terry was on defense, but he really ain't becoming a leader. And that's why Kawhi wanted Paul George, because he thought like, okay, I got my second guy. This is why we gonna win this championship. But come to find out, he's struggling in the playoffs. Paul George just did what he usually does. So for some reason doesn't want to. I know he had a lot of other things going on, but he just struggled in the playoffs, and he was not that playoff P. He had flashes, but you would think a guy his establishment, the way he is established, would be better than he was in the playoffs, and it just didn't work out. So I'm not jumping on that Clipper bandwagon again. I'm with James stuff. We had said I like Golden State.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get MVP Steph. I think people forgot how great this guy is, and he was hurt last year, only played 7 games, and he's gonna say, okay, everybody thought, I won the championship because KD. Yeah, KD was a huge factor, but Steph still was averaging like 26, 27 a game with Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? So I think Curry is probably saying, okay, you guys forgot that him and his braids, now that he has, I think Curry's gonna prove that.
The Warriors do need another big man too, just to.
Hey, that's why Wiseman is going to be might be that pick. We might be that pick. So, well, fellas, we went almost 2 hours. So I'm glad to get you guys on this show. I'm glad that I got to host this show today. And, that's what we do. We talk NBA. Just so glad to get you guys on the show. So,
I can't believe. I'm just still shocked. I can't believe James Harden is really pushing this right now to Brooklyn.
James Harden, Brooklyn, man. He said he's ready for this. So, again, I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Thank everyone that tuned in on Facebook Live, that tuned in on YouTube, that tuned in on Periscope. I want to thank Jameis, Nathan, and Damien. Before I let you guys go, Damien, what you got coming up on your next show?
So yeah, man, check out The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Thank you to my Real Deal brother for having me on this episode. Definitely appreciate it. On The Real Deal with Damian Adams is a podcast. You can check it out on any podcast platform. I cover boxing, basketball, and football. So I'm definitely going to talk about Terrence Crawford this past weekend, handling business against Kell Brook. That was a big one. I'm going to probably do my top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now on my next episode. Talks to NBA, especially some NFL. Got to cover that. Week 10 has been nuts. So I'll definitely talk about that as well. But I do the Real Deal with Damian Adams every Monday night, usually right after Monday Night Football. So I'm getting to work right after this to be getting that episode out. And also I co-host the 3rd and 3 podcast as well, which is a strictly football podcast that I do along with Jason Fearman and Nikki DeMatthews, which is a really good show. We have a lot of fun on that one. So please subscribe to Real Deal with Damian Adams and the 3rd and 3 podcast.
Which I've been a part of both. So yeah, definitely follow and check that out. Nathan, what you got coming up? I know you always got those guests, man, each and every day.
So he got a million interviews.
Yeah, he got 3 weeks full of interviews, man. So tell us about where they can follow you on the NR Hour.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and even YouTube too, the NR Hour. And then today I had the 2020 NBA draft prospect, and then Grady Diaz. She's a sports journalist. And then tomorrow I have Josh Booty. He's a former LSU quarterback. Played in the NFL and played with the Marlins. So he's coming on tomorrow. And I also have a sports journalist tomorrow who she works for the Pittsburgh Pirates and in the hockey team. And then Wednesday, I got here's a big Wednesday. I got Ali Melendez. She's a sports journalist. She worked for Yes Network. She worked for Yes Network, and then she worked with the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm gonna get better insight from her what the latest is from school. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And then Thursday is my big one. Chris Fowler from College Game Day is coming on. And then I got also on Thursday I got Tom Hart from ESPN College Football and SEC Network. And then Friday I got Wes Johnson, NBA player, coming on.
No doubt, killing the game. Keep it up, man. Like I said, always look out for your show, who you have, and I'll be trying to reach out to a lot of those guests too. It's like, yep, time to get them on. So keep killing the game, man. And James, my best friend again for 30 plus years. Like I said, doesn't have a podcast, but he definitely can get one. But he's been on my show multiple times. So James, let them know where they can follow you on Facebook and Twitter and all that.
Everything is just my name, James Jeter, at everything. Wherever you can find people, you can find me at my name, James Jeter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And he gets opinions about a lot of different things, not just sports and everything, life and just in general. So definitely give a follow. And then you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow the show at Get the Real Deal. Airs on Saturdays on BS3Radio.com. I want to give a shout out to Ben Sutter from BS3Radio.com for giving us the platform.
Happy anniversary, bro.
Happy anniversary to you.
Anniversary.
And so thank you for everyone again. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Watch the draft. Watch these rumors, and we'll all be tweeting and everything, all these things. So
all I can say is Brooklyn.
He's on his Brooklyn. He's on BK. So so definitely thanks again, guys, and I'll see you guys. And we'll talk later. All right, guys.
Wait, one more thing, Damian. I actually I told Jason this. I sent you guys podcast, the 33 podcast, to Jeff Garcia. So I'm working on. I interviewed Jeff Garcia on my show, so I'm working on getting you guys. Actually, he hasn't answered yet, but I'm working on getting Jeff Garcia for your 3rd and 3 podcast. So.
Thank you so much, bro. I definitely appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
no doubt. So we keep connecting. You guys keep grinding, and guys, everybody stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep.
All right.
See ya.